Lowe.
Here.
Commissioner Lee Lindsey.
Here.
Commissioner Lewis Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner Lita Anthony.
Here.
Commissioner Brandy Peterson.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
You have before you the agenda. Any additions, subtractions, or modifications?
Motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second for the adoption of the agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? You have several minutes within your packet. Take a moment to overlook them. Any changes, subtractions, modifications?
And the minutes are taken per the recording, and someone is transcribing them. Some of the transcriptions are not clear on what the conversation was.
Okay. What we got is two sets of men.
So what
What are they?
we have, Commissioner Lindsey, there was an interruption during the last board meeting because I was on the phone with Myron Jackson. We were trying to locate our technician. So there was a brief interruption, and so recording stopped for a second, or I lost it and regained it after speaking with Myron.
Take your time.
I don't know what I'm looking at though.
Yeah.
It says set two. Where's set one?
Set one is before set two, and so set two is after, there was a pause. So the first set, you're looking, when you first open your minutes, it should say,
All of it says set two.
Set two.
so maybe what happened, so
All of it says-
I'm not sure why it all says set two, but it was to indicate a break. So maybe I'll ask Micaiah if,
Yeah. Yeah, it all says set two.
yeah, so there was supposed to be a set one as well, so I'll ask Micaiah if she'll retrieve those, but, the set one was supposed to be on top of set two, so that's what that is. But that was because of that break that we had. So I'll ask her to bring the, first half down.
Mr. Chairman, I'm looking for a remedy, according to Robert's rules, to table the minutes, and the
Are we talking-
approval of it.
All the dates of those?
Well.
It's all, these
just
are all one set.
Yeah.
This is all November 17th.
But she said it was all it was broken up into two sets.
Right,
But what we have here is just
One,
says,
Yeah,
it's just one meeting.
Right, because we didn't have the recording.
Yeah,
and so,
I'm asking that we waive the approval and the reading of the minutes until it can be gathered in its proper state for our approval.
Are we talking just that one date?
well, it's just one.
It's just
day.
one
Yeah, that's
day.
what I'm asking, just that one
Yes,
date.
Yeah,
yes.
November
The
17th
last
meeting.
meeting, yeah, November 17th.
So you're asking this to be tabled until next month?
That sounds-
Until the January meeting.
Okay, second.
Been, motion has been put forth with a second that we table the adoption and reading of the minutes. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? None. Got one card here for public participation. That is Mr., is that Thompson?
I think we have remedied his situation with the
Section 8.
with the Section 8 supervisor taking over
Right.
for him.
The landlord, yeah.
All right, Director Benedicto.
All right, if Patrice has returned
She's
with meeting with them, if you'll, Starla, if you'll motion for her. while she's coming, I can go over the numbers for the HCV Section 8 report for November. And so, of course, we have 2,913 baseline with 89% vouchers utilized. Of course, that's a combination of our towers, Metropolitan Village, and non-special programs. For mainstream vouchers, we're at 64% utilization rate. And for Elm Street, we're at 71% utilization. For EHV, we're at 56%. And for Foster Youth Independence, we're at 32% utilization. Trish, you can go ahead and go up.
So, do you want me to read the report?
So I've just read the numbers. The board may have questions.
All right. Are there any questions for me?
My thing is why these utilization rates so low.
Still,
So what we figured out in the past couple of weeks, like doing the conversion to Yardi, is that we do have like the special programs and different vouchers that were not placed with the right programs. So we have over 1,200 of those. So what we're doing now is kind of working our way through all the 5/8 and getting the vouchers put with the right program.
okay, kind of clarify that. When you said vouchers placed with the right program, what exactly
What program?
does that
Yeah.
involve?
It involves just basically going through each one of the vouchers, basically, and submitting them to, like if it's EHV, Elm Street, Elm Street, Mainstream.
So what we've learned, the vouchers have not been placed in their proper program. And so the numbers, and I mentioned to you yesterday that these numbers are just, we're learning this conversion, they're not correct.
So the 1,200, is that what, that's the number that you think that are not being counted correctly?
For sure, they
That's
have to be
correct.
entered, and that's a minimum. I mean, I got an
Okay, it's
email
wrong.
to,
All right.
yeah, I got an email today that some things that were entered into PIC did not go through. So knowing that, then we know that these numbers have to be off. But one thing that we did learn, as Patrice stated during the conversion, is that the vouchers were not being put in to match with the actual programs. So now we're having to tease that apart and make sure we're matching the vouchers with the correct program to get the correct utilization. So it's a lot of cleanup.
Well, like I say, I'm glad you used that word cleanup, because this was a repetitive issue prior to Ms. Bloomfield coming here. The question was asked, how's Tinmass gonna differentiate between the different vouchers and what code is gonna be used? And the answer was, Tinmass had already had it figured out. Well, we coming to find out that's not so. And my concern is that if vouchers are mislabeled, the dollars that go with that is being mislabeled.
That's correct.
So now we got an accounting problem as well as an operational problem. So I'm just
I'm
looking for
also-
some solutions.
Also, how does that impact, those 1,200 vouchers impact the utilization of vouchers? Okay, I can understand them being messed up, as far as what you put in there. But how are they not being counted, or they are being counted somewhere else? Because you still got low utilization in every category. So how does that impact, are these vouchers vacant? Are they assigned to folk? What exactly is happening with these 1,200 vouchers?
Those vouchers are most definitely assigned to tenants. But I mean, I don't know a better way to explain it, like if we went down the list of the 1,200, just say we had Jane Doe. Jane Doe is put in the HCV program, or the HCV, when it's a possibility that she should have been put in the emergency housing vouchers. So they're not labeled correctly.
And that's why I said that has a financial impact, because with those emergency housing vouchers, there's additional monies there that's not available in the Section 8 program. So, I mean, I'm looking at a potential financial nightmare due to the mislabeling of those vouchers.
That's correct.
Which
as we
brings
go
back to
in-
the other question of, if they're being mislabeled now, what does that do for the recapture of those funds
That's it.
if HUD looks at it?
Exactly. And the subsidies that should be being paid out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bigger issue. How are we, you got 1,200 vouchers here that you don't know where they belong to, yet you got landlords and folks who should be being paid subsidies. And so what happens in those cases? And
What
how
has
long, what has happened? So,
Right.
and then the other part of that is, if it's a mess, how long is it gonna take you to clean it up? Because we could get into trouble with holding on to folks' money that we should have been able to pay them in subsidy.
And that's the question. What we're learning is, really by the week, we're learning the depth of the issues that we're having. It is a discovery where it's deeper and deeper. So, in terms of the voucher utilization being at this low standstill, from my end, I understand I want it to go up, we all want it to go up, but we did know during this 3-month very aggressive conversion that we were not gonna be in a conventional case working mode. It's just not conventional. We're doing something in 3 months that you already said would take 9 months, but we can't move that slowly in 9 months. We wanna clean up quickly. The only way that we know to clean up quickly is to get to a software that actually meets our needs and functions. And so that's why we're moving so fast. There's a trade-off. Moving in 3 months means that our conventional caseloads are not going to be processed the same way. The good, or we can't give as much attention to it to get utilization up, because training's from 9 to 4 with caseworkers. Having said that, we're at the tail end of training. The beta testing, working out the kinks. We've had some caseworkers to put in 5.8 successfully in Yardi, and what they're doing is, as they put in things in Yardi, Yardi is working with us, holding our hands, working out those kinks as we run into them. But we're doing this fast to hit the ground running. The answer first is making sure we have the technological infrastructure to actually do a cleanup. I think it can move very fast in January, once we're done with all this training in kinks, with cleaning it up, identifying where, what should be, and then, we'll have to work out those accounting issues as we learn about them.
Let me put this before my colleagues. Do you want to have an executive session at the end of this?
Yes.
Because there's some
Yes.
Issue.
thing, that you need to talk with the executive director about, that goes to the heart of all of this. So with that being,
Because, I don't know, the other question is, what notification has been sent out to landlords? That we've got some stuff going on in here.
Oh,
Because if they're not getting their money, and we are not notifying them, we run the risk of lawsuits, complaints, and the whole
yeah,
thing.
because we aiding evictions is what we're doing.
Yeah.
We
So,
doing what?
Aiding
So
evictions.
what have we told
Oh,
landlords?
because they're
What
on their
information,
payments.
and I guess what we have to understand, and I don't wanna sound insensitive to the fact that we've been going through a conversion, but business did not stop for other people while we were doing things here.
That's
Okay,
understandable.
and we need to be mindful of that. As I'm a little bit upset over this, for a lot of reasons. Because if we haven't got notification to landlords, that's major. Two, using the issue, and real or not, that we were going through conversion does not stop what other folks are going through. People didn't stop living in those houses. Vouchers weren't pulled back. Business went on as usual. And in the impact of us doing a conversion, we should have had a side plan to keep business going. So, yeah, we just need to go.
Chairman, I will say this, business have not stopped for us.
Okay.
We work over, I'll work over. And so having said that, we did enlist a plan to continue to have business going. As a matter of fact, with this conversion, these are things that we walked into. We are part of the cleanup. In terms of the landlord piece, trust me, we hear about it when landlords do not get their checks, and we work to remedy those. I'm not so aware of how this is affecting landlords not getting paid. We almost hear about it the day they don't get the next day they don't get their checks. So, and we respond to those. So, this issue is,
Ongoing.
it is ongoing. I'm telling you, we are committed to cleaning it up. It is not something that started today. It will not change overnight. That is the reality. We are working fast. And like I said, it did not stop. We work constantly. And so I just want to assure you of that. It's not an excuse, but it is the conditions in which, I've recruited employees and I've been recruited into. I'm doing my best to clean it up, and I'll commit to you, I'll do more.
So is it just the 1,200 that we know of, or is there more still to come as you all work through the process of the
That's just the
cleaning?
tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 1,200 that we know of.
Okay,
And I
I'm
got an
almost-
email today from SAC that some EOPs that we enter for, even for Sunset, for whatever reason, did not go through. And so so I have a meeting at 1:00 with one of their SMEs, one of their specialists to help us work through that.
okay.
And then basically, after we clean up those 1,200s, we'll know like an exact number
Okay.
on how these vouchers were
And
allocated.
you'll be able to report that out?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, going forward to deal with that, what strategies are we going to use to increase this utilization rate? And we know that there's a limited number of landlords out there. And in that limited number, a lot of those landlords refuse to participate. So I think, we got to have some strategies going forward to kind of address some of this.
And then there's the backload of subsidies that hadn't been paid that I'm personally aware of. So, again, I'm looking at the monetary impact of how long it's gonna take to get this taken care of. Because there is a backlog. If we got this going on and we don't know how long the backlog has been going on, you got a backlog of subsidies not being paid as well.
And I agree with that, but my standpoint is one from a legal issue.
Well, when people don't get their money, trust, it's legal.
Yeah.
Legal issue.
But because, there was a contract signed, and there were assurances made based upon the language within that contract, so. Yeah, it gives me pause for concern.
So my plan with my team originally was to say, when I noticed how many vouchers we still had out there that needed to be leased, I'm like, well, this month moving forward, we're gonna do some aggressive leasing. That was my thought process after having a conversation with HUD. But then a couple of weeks ago, when this thing came back that we didn't have like the right vouchers put in the right programs, then that was put on hold. Because I do feel like once we go through those numbers that we noticed were not, the vouchers that were not put in Tim Mass right, moving into Yardy, it'll just give us a better number. And then from that point, we can move forward with seeing how much or how many vouchers do we even still have available that we need to lease.
How many people are left on the main Section 8 waiting list?
Almost, I think it's probably at like 1,000 right now. I don't know an exact number, but yes, around 1,000.
In the last meeting, that was a part of the conversation of what the watermark line was for us to go back out, but certainly we can't go back out until we get this cleaned up. That's major. But we talked about that it was, the watermark is really at 300, I think.
Yeah, about 300.
Yeah, is what was discussed in the last meeting.
What kind of time frame are we talking about? You got any idea?
In regards to,
The 1,200.
And that's just the first cleanup.
That's the first thing.
First.
that's why I said give me some strategies,
Yeah,
give me
that's
some
what-
written documentation on
My
paper.
question, okay.
Is how we gonna deal with it.
Yes, the first step is to do what? Take care of this 1,200.
That's correct.
Yes,
Once you do that, then you're gonna, but you, in doing this, there is gonna be more that we,
Could be,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
could be.
It's gonna be.
that's been our experience.
Uh-huh.
You know, yes, during the cleanup,
Yes, that
we
we're gonna
discovered
uncover
a bit more. You know, so we did meet yesterday, Patrice and I and Carlos, and I was asking the same question, what type of time frame are we looking at to get the 1,200 done? So that we don't really go into 2023, you know, with these outstanding 1,200 mystery of not knowing where they belong or even having them entered in, the 5/8 entered.
So we've already started the process of entering the 5/8. I would say like the first quarter, that would be stretching it, but, with the holidays and everything coming up, I would like to say that within that first quarter.
So how do you reconcile those subsidies with that? I mean, so then what? I mean, when you're going through this, you don't have, do you? You
Right.
identify,
We'll have to make sure and start to look to see what pots of money.
yes, and
Those-
where, and if,
And when the last time it was paid,
yes,
which,
That's right.
which also multiplies whatever subsidy is
yes,
owed.
yeah.
So
Or,
we're talking
or
about
paid out.
Yeah.
You could've,
Yeah, that's
you
right.
could've,
paid it out.
yeah.
So you're right,
So-
it's layers to it.
Question. On the financial report, page 5, what caused the expenses to go up?
Wait.
Yeah, this is section, this is section 8, this is
The timing-
section 8, this is
okay.
section 8.
Oh,
What caused the expenses, the half expenses to go up for November?
You said on page 5?
Of the finance report, dealing with section 8,
yeah.
dealing with half admin and half reserves. There was a negative amount coming out, because there was, expenses were overspent of about $23,000. Came in with a negative balance of about $11,000.
Okay, the 11,000 is as of, that's as of the beginning of the year. And you saying,
But I'm asking why the expenses went up in November and that you had to dip into reserves.
actually, the payments went down. It looks like we may have got less subsidy.
Okay, so not the subsidy, don't have it in lease up, causing the administrative expenses to go up, thereby causing a deficit.
Trickle up.
I mean, I'm just asking, is that the way it flowed?
Yeah, we got less than half subsidy for November, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that $24,000 in the hole just doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, they gave us.
So, let me ask you, going forward, who, if anybody, or what, if any, actions is there to monitor this?
Monitor,
Well, the expense, because for out of 9 months, I mean, everything was going good.
okay.
And now all of a sudden there's a hiccup. I'm just trying to find out that we don't
Well, you
repeat
know,
that hiccup.
HUD does do a reconciliation every so often, and
Who does the reconciliation?
HUD.
Yeah, that's
they
it, we
write
capture
them
that
up to
money.
What we're spending, how much half is going out, and if it's not as much half going out, it affects our subsidy.
Yes.
That means there's no lease up. I mean, I shouldn't say no lease up, there's limited lease up.
I mean, is that a reimbursement or?
No, well, you get paid based upon
That's what I'm
on the
saying,
lease
lease
up.
up.
Right.
And so
But Chairman, as we've talked
If
about
it's not-
before,
if it's not
if
as
we
much
know
lease
that
up.
there are
they don't,
1,200
you don't
out
get that
there,
much in.
Mm.
it's
Is
gonna
that-
impact that money
The
that's
money, right.
been
Yeah.
recaptured.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay?
trying,
Because
just
those
trying
numbers
to
are going
see, just trying to see
change.
what a bottleneck is,
Yes.
not to show
That
up.
number, that number actually dates back from like July 21. So.
The entire $3 million dates back?
Well, no, I'm not saying the entire.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just saying
Okay.
like as far as the voucher portion of it and everything not being put into the right
Yeah.
program. So
Yeah. I
over the past
understand
9 months, I would say that this report, we hadn't even been getting the correct information as far as this goes. And that, like I said, that would date back to like July 21, maybe?
Okay, and then reconcile in July, there was no deficit.
Well,
I mean, I
so-
understand your reasoning and logic, but this is what the numbers say.
But the other question, when did HUD recapture that $3 million?
Oh, they released some of it, based upon the balances that I see here. It's still about, what, look like about 2.8? I mean, they released some of it, but they still have a big chunk of it. And that has to do with utilization.
Right, okay.
Based off how much we lease, determines the subsidy that we'll receive every year.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like I said, this is like a process. It's gonna be a process, getting everything cleaned up. Then we can get a clear number on the subsidies, how much money we should receive the following year, et cetera.
Well, next year's allocation hasn't been made yet because there's a continuing resolution in Congress going on right now, and that money hasn't been allocated yet because the budget hasn't been defined yet. Oh, yeah, and I'm tired of being a dead horse.
We need a plan,
Yeah,
that's
we-
the first thing.
We need to talk about it
So-
in
Yeah, okay.
executive session.
Oh, one last question. How many of the folks down in Section 8 are either PBB certified or Section 8 certified?
We have all but 2 of our new employees who does not have their HCV certification, but, they are getting certified.
Certified through who?
Nan McKay.
Okay.
And then we have 2 so far that are certified for PVV. And we do plan to get more certified for that program soon.
Hey, I'm done. Anything further?
Yes, I'm sorry, Ms. Broomfield. 2 questions. One on the home ownership program. Is there a, like a completion date? When do they finish? When is it? You know.
FSS.
Yeah. When, yeah.
Well, those are 2 programs, 2 different programs. Those are 2 different programs,
Homeowners, when
Section
do
8
they
and
stop
FSS.
getting money for the homeowners program? When does that,
That's left up to
Who?
us.
Us, okay.
Mhm.
okay.
And we monitor that. Okay.
And I'm saying that number is kind of low too, as many people who are on
You
Section
would
8.
think that, you know.
I mean, marketing, strategies, internet, radio, TV, I know our numbers are tight, but if we're really concerned about people becoming home owners and building wealth, that would be the perfect option.
Well, just to recognize where we are now, when we look at all the basic things that are needing attention within HCB, and they got all hands on deck
Yeah.
to try to deal with the basic things. It's hard for them to talk about who's gonna specialize over here and who's gonna, right now, everybody needs to know what the basic allocation should be, the basics of what HCV should be, and that's just as an opinion, not directing traffic in Section 8, but just an acknowledgement. If we got all these issues of what's being put in wrong and how they're being allocated, the folk in HCV don't need specialization, they need basic training.
Well, my thing
And that's
is,
just
where
an
is a notebook like this that has all the programs in it and each case specialist, all you gotta do is look it up. And if you don't know, ask somebody.
We have talked for several years about there being a digest of some type.
Right, a knowledge
Where we have-
base.
Where anybody having any question about anything, and all those CFRs that we have talked about, and have sent to substantiate why we're questioning some of the things. All those CFRs and all those things should be in a digest that's in the middle of the room, where anybody at any time can go and see that.
Because I know prior with folks doing the quote-unquote specialization, I only deal with FSS. I only deal with BASH. I only deal with,
You know,
We got 12 folks down there, okay? And the distribution of work should be that no one person specializes in anything. That whoever calls, whatever client calls, okay? If they have a problem with the emergency voucher, in my opinion, any of those case specialists should be able to help that individual.
I agree with that.
So I'm just asking, we need to come up with a written plan, some strategies,
So,
and how we gonna deal with this?
we're as close to as we can get to actual timeframes that we are committed to meeting. Because just having a plan out there without a timeline on it, there is no emergency, there's no commitment to getting this done. And again, there's some major impact to this hot situation that we're dealing with.
You got that right?
And the finances that's behind it.
I will say this, in terms of the plan, and as Patrice kind of alluded earlier, so yes, the plan changes as you learn how deep your problems are. The first approach is we have to have the infrastructure. That's what we do not have. We're working aggressively to get that. In terms of being finished with that, January, of course, as a new user, there will be kinks, that's unavoidable, but we're working that out. That has been the plan. That's why we, have really pressed Yardi to work with us. This is unprecedented for them as well. They've never gone this fast with any housing authority, period. But that is a part of the plan. I want to say that to recognize that I agree with you, and I do want to move forward. Yes, we have to deal with the human and intellectual capital. We're working on that part of the infrastructure as well. We're in the process of procuring a training package where there's unlimited access to certifications from HCV to PBV to other basic housing. And that's offered through our high group. And we've already priced it, counted our employees. We're working to finalize that as well. So this was a kink in the plan that was very alarming, that we'll have to retool and, have a more aggressive plan that will allow us to still serve our clients. I will say this, we are doing a cleanup with the same number of staff. And so it's not possible to clean up and still have the same number of staff and have the same level of service. We're giving it our best. So, we can come with timeframes, certainly. And yeah, this 1,200 has helped me understand that it's just not software. We have some administrative issues as well.
All right, anything further, y'all? All right, moving along.
All right, Chairman Love, and if you're ready for finance, I'll ask Tamara Dunley to come forward, the finance report.
All right, you have before you the finance report, and also passed out a copy of the revised budget. But as far as the finance report, MHA continues to wait on the status report of the 2019 audit in efforts to begin years 2020 and 2021. The 2023 budgets are under review by the Board of Commissioners. Sunset Central and Stevens, of course, we all know they went red as of October 31st. So they didn't have any activity for the month of November. A summary of the November 22 revenue and expenditures are as follows. All projects ended the month of November with a positive revenue balance. And as Chairman Lowe talked about, page 5, we did receive less, like I said, we received less subsidy for the HCV program, but there's still quite a bit of HCV reserves left to be used for potential future HAP payments. And if you guys have any questions about this, I will say one quick thing about the budget, if I may do so. Chairman Law, I know you asked about the CAP fund admin, and we do have CAP fund for next year. I put in 75,000. That was obligated for administrative fees to help with salaries. And also in 2024, there's 75,000. But in 2023, there's only 35,000 to spend in administrative. So that helped 2023's budget. It put it at a positive 95,000.
What is that dedicated to? The 75,000, what is that dedicated to?
To other admin to help with salaries, CAP fund salaries,
Okay,
potential position, which was under the procurement.
so we're talking another position.
Not necessarily, we could incorporate it with the procurement, because the procurement manager was also the CAP fund administrator.
I don't wanna go there.
Yeah,
Don't wanna go there.
yeah. Oh, the way that,
Because the way that was set up,
yeah.
that person wasn't doing capital funds,
That-
okay?
Well, it was said to have been removed once we.
That's why I don't wanna go there.
But, going back to the audits, have we made sure that BKD has everything that they need from us to complete these audits?
Well,
Yeah, I sent them the financials.
yeah.
Yes,
We
and we
respond.
are, I would say, we have some minutes that we are still searching for. There's a book, to 2019, but, yeah, that's a part of the package that he's needing, but, so, we're working on it. I'm turning over things and looking for those minutes. I mean, of course, the 2021, of course, were easy in 2020, but it's spotty with some of the records.
Say that again.
It's been spotty,
What has been spotted?
getting some of the minutes, some of the early minutes.
But
that
what
Cora
we're
was
talking
asking.
about now is 19,
Yes,
right? So part of the list that they gave was we needed all the minutes from 19.
up to present, yes.
Not up to present, I'm sorry. I mean, not to, all, it just, I'm sorry, I'm getting upset. You know, they are, for 19, we're just looking for the minutes for FY 19, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so we have given them the minutes for FY 19.
oh, no,
Okay,
sir.
all right, all right, that's a holdup.
Yes,
You're right.
the records of those 2019 minutes, that is the holdup.
Because, I mean.
Because,
We didn't do-
Because there was no repository. The person who was responsible for keeping them records did a sloppy job.
Should we or should we not have copies of those in our emails since they were sent to us supposedly before?
Supposedly,
Some, but not all.
yeah, not all,
Not all the minutes were sent to us. Some of them were, but
Yeah.
not all of them.
right.
We just now started getting recently
okay.
those minutes. So.
What else is the holdup on 2019, 2020,
well,
2021?
Yeah,
What minutes are actually missing? Do you have dates for those meetings?
So, Makai, I have her generating a list of all the things, the specific ones that we need, even with 2020, there's still some gaps, but I think we can find those with the search. But, she's producing that list.
Well, send
Identify
that
the
list, so
specific
some of us
ones.
may be able to research some of our old emails and find some of the minutes.
Yeah.
Right, we've done some of that.
Because at least we would have them printed, or you all would have them printed, because we attended the meetings and we voted to approve the minutes, so we had to have something in writing. So we might have them if we're given the dates on the ones that you're missing.
Mhm.
So we don't, so we're talking about 12, out of the 12 we're missing.
I'll produce the list for you, yes.
You know, some of the, what I share with you, Mr. Lindsay, is our liaison to finance. We can't help with these problems if we don't know that these problems exist.
That's exactly.
So if we know that minutes are missing, then, you know, let us know, and so we can get into a search. But what else is on the list? Could you send, because audits is a responsibility on the board. So if they're not getting done and there's stuff missing, can we get a list of what's missing on those audits?
Yes.
And there was something that was provided from BKD about what needed to be forwarded to them. You remember?
Yeah, that's the way to the list.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. And it was I thought that list that they sent, that they needed, that we had provided everything. But you're saying now that of that list that we provided, the 19 minutes are still outstanding.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there
And the
any-
other thing they wanted, was the outcome of the DEC report, once the corrective action was turned in. There was some recent follow-up from the field office regarding the DEC report, which I recently provided. So, which I believe satisfied them. They wanted some picture and photographic evidence, which I sent that over immediately, so they can go ahead and finalize that out. And there was, a question about one of the charges, which I provided an explanation for that, for service on one of the vehicles. And that was the last week.
Okay. Oh, wow.
anything else?
Yeah.
That's needed?
What, for the audits?
Yeah.
No,
I
I
mean-
think Corey has made out a list of, detailed list of what he needs.
Another list.
Well, he can't make that decision unilaterally. He's talking to his legal folks and his higher-ups, and that's where the bottleneck is. Until they give him the okay, he can't come to us with a plan of okay. That's what a bottleneck is.
But and like I said, that's always been that.
Mhm.
I'm just asking, have we done what we were supposed to do, which is something we do control? Have we given to them
Yes.
everything that they need to do
Close out 19.
19, 20, 21? Because
Well,
we're now getting ready to close out
That's right.
22. So
That's
my
good.
question is still not being answered.
No.
No.
What have we not given to them and why?
So the DEC report, okay, so part of that is all board members are supposed to be trained in contracts and procurement. I gave that update last week,
Yes.
that 2 have signed up. We still have some more, you know. I told them that I will look for a shorter course, because these courses are long, and that I will be looking for another one to offer to the board. Now, having said that, that is a part of what Mr. Jennings is asking for, is the final outcome of that DEC report. So I am looking for other courses. I'm, getting you all, enrolled. So that's one of the things as well. And, the minutes, I really felt confident that they would surface. I've been looking for book 10, so, but I will give you the specifics. And I've been back and forth with Chairman Lowe with some things that he needed to sign as we found them. But that DEC reporting, complying with it, is part of what is being asked for by BKD.
And the DEC report was done when?
So
That
I
was
believe
released
it
in
came to
April.
us in April.
April.
That's what we
Yeah.
said.
Mhm. Yeah, Ms. Anthony, to get to the heart of the matter, it's just, I think the holdup is getting the minutes for the year of 2019.
Yes, to get 19 done.
Right. And I think, and in my humble opinion, that if he gets all the 19, I think this train could move forward. Hey, you got a question?
Okay.
I think that's page what? Page 6? Why is there almost $100,000 in the hole for doubtful accounts? Line item 128.1.
What was that? I'm sorry.
What is that?
Line item 128.1. Allowance for doubtful accounts fraud. That's almost $100,000 in the hole.
HCV, and that's right. Those are all the tenants that owe for fraud, like not reporting rental income. Yeah. That's always been pretty big every year.
As a part of that, are tenants being removed from the program?
That I'm not sure of, but I'm sure they are.
Section 8.
I'm most close to guaranteed that most of those tenants are not they're not on the program any longer.
Section 8.
I just wonder why it's so big.
What's the process, like, when you have the doubtful accounts when it's fraud like that? What's the process for, like, you to get the information, or your department to get the information to whomever is responsible for removing them from the program?
Well, they actually give us the information.
And then
It
you
starts-
contact the, tenant?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they give us the information on who they think will pay, and that's how we set it up. But no, they keep a log on who owes, and the people send us money, yeah. And the system keeps up with who's been paying off on it, but we actually get their report from Section 8. The report, once they put them on the fraudulent account.
And I guess my question should go, Section 8, who, if anybody, is removing people who do not break the contract, do not report income? Because we got a lot of stuff going on in Section 8 that impacts the bottom line of monies coming in. So is there a report that comes out of those folks, of how many folks are being removed from Section 8 due to the fact that they did not turn in new income, that they did not make an arrangement, or they are being evicted as a course action of something else that they're doing? Who does that report?
I haven't started doing a report as far as that right now. However, whomever the housing specialist is, when they notice that the tenants are delinquent with their payments, they are the ones who are removing them from the program. Whomever the housing specialist is.
And so where in the budget is it captured, like, if they're paying, or like you said, that they're receiving money, like if your department receives money, where is that captured that the money was received?
It's on the revenue statement, but we haven't received much in fraudulent. We actually haven't received anything for fraud collections.
So in reducing that account amount, and correct me if I'm wrong, reserves have to be used in order to offset that $100,000. Just to balance the books.
Not necessarily, because we're not, well, I guess if you think about it, HUD paid this money out.
Okay, which comes to us as an expense.
Right. So, at some point, yeah. We have used that money, and that's why we're putting it back on the tenant to give us our money back.
Okay, page 7. Yeah, over $160,000 in late half payments. Line item 312.
Yep, and that could be I think we have landlords that's probably on abatement,
Okay,
so we don't actually cut the check.
right?
It processes when we process checks every month, but it just sit like in a holding status. So that's why that AP looks like that. For some reason, we having to hold those half payments.
Hi, one more question. I'm looking at the ownership section of the financial statement, page 10. And this is for the COCC. Showing that negative balance of unrestricted net assets. From a financial statement point of view, that's showing that our building, we're not improving our building. We're not improving this building to be $3 million in the hole. Negative net assets tells an investor or any financial person the way your net assets looks depends on the type of maintenance you put into your building, the upkeep as well, absence of any depreciation. So, I mean, I'm just wondering, has there been a need assessment of this building? Because this was coming, it's coming under the COCC.
That's 3,000.
That's
3.
3,000, my bad, I'm sorry, I stand corrected,
Okay.
3,000.
Yeah. And you know, that could be, other properties that CH, I know we own 201 Roosevelt, 1,000 Wolf. So there's other properties that they may need an assessment.
So that's not,
Yeah, but you should have gone up in assessment of the investment in 1,000 Wood. And we shouldn't, we don't know what is going on with 201 Roosevelt because of with the tenant that may be there.
Yeah, but we know that building needs some
Yeah,
work
we do.
done to
It
that.
does, it needs, yeah, it
We
does
do
that
know.
more
building.
than that 3,000.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do know that there's been an investment in 1,000 Wood.
So that's really not a bad figure, is it?
No, it's not too bad.
Okay, that's all I had. Anybody else?
So the investment that you guys are doing at 1,000 Wolf, that's out of CAC's pocket.
Correct.
But
And that's
to
why
the
that,
benefit of COCC.
It's not. So that's why I said, you said other buildings that y'all own.
no, that
So-
should have been on the CAC's
Yeah,
investment
so,
line
I mean,
item. That's what
when
that
it's
should have
mentioned,
been.
that it was buildings that they own, if it's gonna be taken into consideration, then yeah, you can take into consideration
And I
that your
did have a
present tenants.
question, I had a question about the budget as far as revenue.
Which-
I know you guys are occupying the building, so would COCC earn any of that?
You get your $99.
Yeah, that was the original
You get your
contract,
$99.
a dollar a year,
Yeah,
right,
you
for
get your
99 years.
$99 is all COCC gets,
And how long is that for?
99 years.
99 years.
I'm
And
just
we'll
asking
write
because
you a
at one
check.
time, we were receiving about 60,000 a year for that building.
But
Well,
you're
that's when
not-
Children's Hospital was over in
Yeah,
that
but
building.
you're- that's not the lease,
That's when Children's Hospital was occupying that building.
but that's not the lease that you signed.
That's when Children's Hospital had their human resources before they bought the old Safeway and moved them over there.
So someone right here signed to agree to that?
No doubt about it, they signed the lease.
Yeah, Nadine signed that lease.
Yes, sir.
They did.
Yeah, Nadine signed,
Mhm,
no,
Nadine signed
Delaney
it.
signed the lease, because Delaney signed the lease. But there isn't a lease, it is for 99 years at $1
A year.
a year.
Mhm.
So COCC is entitled to $99.
Yeah, the $60,000 you're talking about, like I said, that's when Children was occupying
Yeah.
that building.
So
I understand.
there has to be an
I
income
know
stream that is
CLCC
created
is-
somewhere else.
So where is the $120,000?
It hadn't been sold yet?
Okay.
No, it hasn't been so. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of questions about that because there's already a contract
Yeah,
out. And
a signed contract.
and a lot of, I've been given some very discrepant information about the numbers. And at this point, I need to look at what it is, the assessors has it for. You know, I have some questions about that. And I already spoke with Chairman Lowe about that as well. But I've been kind of breadcrumbed information about that, and it's not been consistent. So I'm not real eager to sign a contract that I'm not, you know, I have too many questions. I'm happy to do it once they get all clarified.
We got a signed contract. Is that
Right.
your question?
Well, we got an offer.
Well,
Okay, offer then, that's
Yeah, we
not a
got an
contract, all right.
well,
Okay.
I was told a signed contract. See, that's what I'm talking
Is it a
about. So-
contract or is it?
We have a offer
Offer
on the
sheet.
table.
Okay.
That's what Rocky sent, okay?
And it bottlenecked because at that time, we had not done due diligence in the sales.
Right.
And I'm gonna still say to this, there's more at stake. There's some legalities
As far as,
as that, and I think we've met the line of legality if it's sold for less than what.
market rate.
Well, not only that, now you open up a legal aspect
Yes,
of
sir.
severance payments
What you mean,
because there was an offer
Yes, sir.
of a contract,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Yes.
And they have been nice enough to extend that offer.
At our delay and
Yeah,
our
at our delay. I don't know if you remember, we went through the same situation with Simmons Smith with the property over there off of on Asher with the old Brown Janitorial Supply
that entire
Company.
corner, even after.
That was an
they said
offer.
Don't touch it.
That was an offer. That's when RAD was first getting off the ground. That was an offer. Somehow, some way, to make a long story short, the offer was canceled, and we ended up paying him $2,500.
Yes, sir, we did. But
Because we didn't follow through, we didn't follow through with the offer.
Mr. Chairman, let's defer this to legal, because
Okay.
it can go
Yeah.
back and forth
Yeah.
on speculation.
Yeah.
Let's defer it to legal.
Anyway it
and-
goes.
And look at the paperwork that has been received on it,
Yeah.
what the good faith was involved in it, as part of the, and also remove anybody's liability in the process to do what needs to be done.
Anyway it go, it's not a part, it will not be a part of the 23 budget.
Don't know that.
It's in the
It will not
budget.
be a
in the
part of the 22
2023.
budget, we know that,
Right,
No,
okay.
yeah, we don't know
we put it
that.
in 2023.
Right, say what?
We did put it in the 20.
It's in 2020, it's in 23 budget,
It's in 2023.
okay.
But let's refer to, I motion on the floor to defer the issue to legal.
St. John's, yeah, all right.
Is there a second?
Second, yes.
The moving property second to refer the sale of the property of the old gymnasium behind St. John to legal. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? None. So this matter is in referral to legal. Any more questions about the finance report? If not, Director Benedicto, thank you, Tamara.
All right, so moving to the procurement report. So in terms of formal solicitations, we don't have any at this time. We are currently reviewing proposals for insurance coverage of MHA properties and vehicles. Again, cleanup is the theme that, you know, we've been speaking of, and we're doing a lot of cleanup on those policies as well, looking at what's covered, what needs to be removed from coverage, quite a bit, actually, with Sunset Terrace having gone red very recently. So that's where we are. I've sent a copy back to the High Group with the removals, and they will be sending a final proposal soon, back next week, actually, because it's to effectuate, hopefully, January 1, 2023.
And in the cases where we find that we had situations of double insurance, or we were paying and somebody else was paying, there is an opportunity to refund that money. Get our portion of that money refunded. We found that in a couple of places because we were initially, which we should be doing every year, is not just,
Having a review.
it should have a review of what we've got. Now, I know that 1000 Wolf has been on your MHAs, and I'm just wondering, as part of the lease agreement, I need to go back and look at that, we're responsible for our insurance, I do believe, because I know that we are putting it on our insurance this year as a part of moving, but there was an issue that there were some properties that no longer belong to us that were still being insured by us. And those kinds of things, that's, you know, that's leaking revenue.
Yeah, it is.
We're bleeding out our own money for lack of review. So I think that each year, it needs to be mandated that those types of things take place.
Hey, sounds like a plan.
Okay, of course, we talked about this already. Of course, we have commissioners on target with contract and procurement training. And just a reminder, as a part of that DEC report as well, the December 31 date for the policy or the procurement policy update.
What
So,
are they looking for in the update?
They gave us a list.
I ain't seen the list.
It was in the review.
Yeah, but we'd already did that.
Yeah.
But I guess they didn't know we had done it, so I
Oh.
guess you
We
still
provided them with whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
because we adopted the entire CFR 200
Correct.
in that process.
Correct.
But I don't know, you know, there was some conversation going on around that, and there were different people in place at that point when we did that, so I don't know what happened as far as if it was ever recorded
Okay.
that we adopted.
But I
CFR
know
200.
we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, but there needs to be some
I sent it to
authorization.
them when I
You
first
did.
started.
Okay.
I do remember the pool, dealing with the pool situation was the one thing I specifically recall they said we needed to include. But anyway,
Well, that's I mean, I can see that as a review because I know the issue was raised, pool versus individual. And we never came to a decision one way or another. Because remember, we had left that up to prior EDs because that's what they liked. They
Yeah,
liked the pool
But
concept.
what was noticed is that the pool process was not being utilized.
Utilized, right.
We
The
had a
way
process.
that it is, and they were making bad decisions as to how they were gonna justify doing what they were doing.
Okay. Yeah, because we just have to decide and have that discussion. Do we want individuals versus pool? And what's the benefits and disadvantage of either one or the other one?
and so, in looking at the contract and the upcoming expiration dates, I did mention we'll get back on track with that. And so in reviewing it, it looks like Bluefoot Construction and Delta Pest Control should be before you all, really in February. But we're starting the process of notifying them their 90 days notice that they'll have automatic renewals and what steps they have to take to request renewal before the board. So those are the two that are upcoming.
As we're going through the depositions with IT, I don't think people realize how important these measures are. And certainly, we're being questioned on extensions and renewals
Okay.
as part of what's taking place in that litigation. So it's important that we document how the process runs according to HUD, because I guarantee it's gonna come up again.
Yes, it is. No doubt.
So that is it for the procurement report. And whenever you're ready, I can go over to legal.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Excuse me. All right, so, legal report, Jada Johnson versus Little Rock Housing Authority. So I read that, summary last board meeting, and in terms of an update, an answer has been made, by counsel provided through the High Group. The Jarman versus MHA, no substantive updates there. Really, the only other update that I have is the Pinnacle Strategy Group versus MHA. I know, Chairman Lowe, you participated in a non-binding arbitration on Wednesday, November 16th. The plaintiff initially was seeking $185,000. And per legal counsel, Sylvester Smith, the arbitrator found your testimony very compelling, and he did find that MHA should have given 30-day notice before ending the contract, and that he was going to award $5,000, around $5,000 plus $2,000 in legal fees to the plaintiff.
Do we know if that was accepted?
Well, it was binding, so whether he wants it or not,
Oh,
He does
okay.
already-
It was
he ain't got no
binding?
choice.
Okay, I had it as non-binding.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
I'll
was
correct that.
binding. That's why he had prepared a detailed analysis of his decision.
Oh,
Okay,
In the event that they wanted to take it to court,
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of an appellate type of situation, but it was binding.
okay. All right, I don't really have anything else, other updates for the legal report. It's getting
Well,
smaller.
Just a point of notice. Last week, I think I sent everybody some information concerning Elm Street. Had that conversation with Ms. Anthony. There is an option on the table, but it has to do with planning, that Elm Street could become a RAD project. HUD's allows that. They allow SROs to be redeveloped for RAD. That's why I sent the information to everybody, but the lead on this would be CAAC since they own the property. So I deferred all that to Ms. Anthony.
And we are recognizing that that is a process.
Mhm.
We would still have to go through Chicago because it is blended. It
Mhm.
will be blended because demolition is a part of that.
Mhm.
It would be an easy smeezy because you'd be constructing at one end and tearing down on the other end.
And that's one thing, I had that conversation with Mr. Landecker. He's never heard of that. Not to say that it can't be done, because he's using that old model of HUD to move folks out, relocate and pay relocation. No, we've got the land now that's big enough that we can build on one end while they stay where they are.
yeah.
So he's supposed to be researching that and getting back with us, because there's nothing out of line or nothing illegal based upon HUD's process that they can't stay there while the other one is being built. And I mentioned to Ms. Anthony that probably the only real major expense would be moving them at the completion of a new building. That would
They
probably be
walk
done.
across the property. But anyway, it is, the plan is for 100 units, which is inclusive of the 52 units that already exist on the property. And that's not to overwhelm the neighborhood with a lot of excess traffic.
Right.
We do have other lots in that area that will afford parking and some other things around it. But in looking at what we know to be the housing issue, the homeless issue, it would certainly be an incentive for a partnership with the city to do this in order to create more opportunities and services. And I think that services has to be a part of this project for it to really be appealing to folk as a solution to some of the homeless issues. But again, it won't happen, it will begin in 2023, but it won't happen in 2023.
No,
It is
because
just-
there's a 2-year process in there, which I like to call data gathering, getting public input, this for the residents, changes and modifications along that way before any dirt is turned over.
Yeah. And certainly you would have to get get the city planning involved, just because you're talking about going from 52 people to 100 residents on the same 2 city block area.
So is that predominantly on the Lewis Street side?
It would be,
No, that's
it's
the
the whole,
That whole
well,
square,
really it's
the
4
whole square
blocks,
block.
'cause it's blocks
Yeah.
of-
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's 4 block area.
Okay.
Yeah, that whole square block. Is that it, Director Benedicto?
Yes, that's it for legal. Seems like we talked a little bit about development. We do have a restoration groundbreaking tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes,
Knock on-
Friday.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood, okay. I think it's gonna happen, December 16th at 11 a.m., Sunset Terrace Apartments. I'll be there.
I'll be there.
What about the construction management for that project,
Over there. Sunset.
Chairman?
Ma'am?
The construction management component of that project?
Well, we're supposed to, just like we did with the towers, have a Diamond Legacy and to come in and check behind anything that Gorman does. When a unit is complete, they come in, verify that, there was no shoddy work done. But I don't know the status of that contract with Diamond Legacy.
Well, since the project has already started,
Yes, sir, that's what I was gonna
it
say.
just, I'm serious, since the project has already been started, we are obligated to, in all fairness, tell that company who was awarded that contract something.
I agree.
So we need to follow up on that piece. I mean, you just don't award a contract and leave him hanging. But there is a piece there where,
Well, that question did come up, whether or not they were awarded the contract or not.
well, they were the only people who bid
Who
on
did
it.
it,
And we
right.
voted on it,
Right.
but but we voted to award them the contract.
That is correct.
So, again, they're not responsible for our stuff. We're responsible for how our stuff is done and how it's interpreted. They deserve an answer.
I agree. And see, that's why I'm kind of leery, because I'm actually limited based on what's going on across the street. But I have no problem making that phone call, though.
I did
Yeah,
follow
yeah.
up, Chairman Lowe.
Mhm.
I really
Yeah.
spoke last week. I did. I just haven't heard anything back quite yet regarding the sole sourcing that they called it. But I reached out after talking to you to the field office, just like we've done before, when we had only one respondent. And I just haven't acknowledged receipt. I just haven't heard anything back yet. But that was this last week, so, with Diamond Legacy.
Since that project started, what, a week ago?
Mm-hmm.
We need to press the field office for a response. And limitations has never stopped you before.
That's true. Yes. We know the games people play. Yeah, we know the game. Yeah, we know the games people play. So we'll move forward. All right. Ms. Anthony?
And Ms. Brandon, we have been informed. Chairman, manager's, position is still one that's ongoing. I'm not sure what all the ramifications are in that, but we still are, that's one of the missing pieces within the organization that has not been filled. In the HCV department, there are 3 interviews were conducted for housing specialists. There still is no job offer. Right now, they've got 11 people down in HCV. There's still management training going on. Staff is getting their final stages of yarding. The board members will, and we did attend, and I got some of the classes, some of it, but did not get all of it, so I may be looking for some additional information on the procurement and contracting management piece. We did get some of it as part of our certification,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure, Lee got his certification, so I'm not sure if that will count toward the deck plan, but we had to take procurement as part of our certification. The following employees will, attend, y'all will attend on the 17th at 1 o'clock. There is a new executive administrator, Ms. Micaiah Rose, and we were aware that Ms. Brumfield was the ACV program administrator.
I don't mean to interrupt her, but where is she?
Here's who.
Micaiah.
Micaiah Rose.
She should be holding down the fort while I'm in here. And this is she's signed up for the procurement training, she and Patrice, that's why they're listed on here. Yeah.
Nobody, everybody in finance have already had procurement training.
Yes, that was a part of the first SWAT
Okay.
to compile with that deck report.
Okay, and I'm just asking because procurement is a finance
Mhm.
issue, so I'm just asking.
Mhm.
The HR manager is doing a comprehensive training with Hire Company Group to just get some training on how to certify our employees at a discounted rate. Performance reviews are going to be completed by December 16th. Just as part of our ongoing restructuring,
Mhm.
you know, as in anything, you're gonna find out something and some situations work, whereas other things may not fit, and we've had a little of that already. So it's gonna be an ongoing process, as far as certain jobs being remained open, like the housing specialist. There's gonna be a continuation of folk that will possibly be interviewed in that process to always make sure that we're not caught short in the process. But I think as we get into a retreat very early in January, where we can actually put pen to paper and look at where we are with some basic figures that these meetings don't always allow us to do. We'll have a clearer picture of where we need to move forward, where that building up, and if building up needs to be done in some areas, where there is some pluses and some minuses, as part of the continuation of the restructuring piece. But I think we need to set a date real soon for the retreat. We'd like to be able to do it while Brandy is out, because we definitely need her mind at the table to look at all of what faces us in 2023 in making decisions not only about our organization, but our income, everything else that goes with it.
Anything further? Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. Dealing with the IT piece, I know that the kiosks should be online next month. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, and Carlos could speak to that, because I know he's been working with the design group to get everything digital, so it's not just printing paper, trying to move from paper. If you don't mind, would you like Carlos to kind of tell you where he is on
Sure.
that tech piece? Okay. Well, Carlos.
Okay, so, Yardi reached out to me again today. They gave us.
Yardi with what?
Yardi, they reached out to me today
Oh.
as far as the Rent Cafe piece. They gave us a suggested subdomain name to use. As soon as I got that, I sent that over to the design group today. The Rent Cafe piece is gonna be a definitely game changer. People, if they opt to, they can do it from their phone, their tablet, they can come into the kiosk. The goal is to go as paperless as possible. People can still come in and do a manual application, but the days of printing out a 5/8 and storing it, paper form, unless we just choose to. We don't have to anymore. To speak to the issue about the 1,200 5/8, when they go to do them, 90% of the information is already there. Then it's just a matter of going back, putting them in the right program and verifying everything's there. So the 1,200 that HCV has to do, they won't be doing them from scratch. So I don't know what that does for the time frame, because personally, I don't know how time consuming it is, but it's not starting from nothing. Yes, sir.
The 1,200 that, they have not been assigned to a program or anything,
Or,
have they?
Yeah, they
They
have.
have, they in the wrong
They
one.
have, but
They
they
in the
just
wrong
been
one.
They're in the wrong one.
misnamed.
Okay.
So it should be a simple correction rather than a whole complete reentry.
that is the
That's what he
goal.
was saying.
Right, that's what he's
Yeah.
saying,
So-
right.
So like I
That makes
said,
me
most,
feel better.
from my understanding, I'm not a housing specialist.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
From my understanding, most of the information is there.
Right, I got
So-
that part.
But it's still, I know it still takes time to find out, to research, to verify which program they should be
Yes.
in. Is,
And
so,
it's, that's the where the main problem is, that it is miscoded or whatever.
Yeah, miscoded.
And so associated with that miscode or whatever, there are also some dollars
Yes,
associated
some
with
funds,
it.
that's
$1,000.
right.
How do we get at that?
that, I do not.
Like that, is that on my
We'll have
wheelhouse?
to,
Yeah,
as we identify them, then we'll have to figure out how to reconcile that.
That's-
And so, I hope, hopefully it's just a very few
That some
that,
expenditures has been charged or
That's-
sent out, or to landlords have gotten
but
something they shouldn't
Yeah.
have, and
but it is new, it's uncharted for us. So, but as we identify the ones that were charged all along in the wrong program, then it's how long, how much, which
And how do you
pot,
approve?
then do we reconcile it, so.
But the Rent Cafe piece, once we get the domain name solidified, we're just about finished uploading the waiting list. Once that's, we beta test that, we can announce to the public. You can go to, say,
This,
portal.lrhousing.org. People that's already in there, we have their email address. We can email them. They'll get an email saying, go here to register. The other people we don't have the emails, we can send out flyers. Of course, we can use the design group, and other media to let people know. But the goal is to go paperless, and we are definitely moving in that direction very quickly.
and another vision of that not only saves on paperwork, but my focus would be on, and Director Benedicto has kind of signed on to this, we need repositories of everything that we do to keep that tacit knowledge, for lack of a better word, institutional knowledge, that somebody can put their hands on. So it's just a matter of creating those links, creating those storage devices so that we can do that. And I've said this before, and I know Director Benedicto is working on it. Every process that we have should be put in writing.
Amen.
Take those writings, put them in a secure disk location so that once an individual leaves an organization, that knowledge still stays here.
What about policies and procedures moving forward? That need to be updated from time to time with whatever we're doing. And again, there's a digest that needs to be somewhere where different organizations or different departments can go and look at it to say, oh, I ain't got to go bother my boss about this. Here it is right here
Right.
in black and white.
Yeah, we call that a knowledge database.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to speak on that, as far as Yard is concerned, that's already part of our deal.
Okay.
There are videos and there are step-by-step instructions on how to do everything.
Yeah.
And I think most of the videos are 10 to 15 minutes long.
Okay. We're all excited about Yardi, as we walked the property on yesterday and found out they were Yardi.
They love it.
And of course, CAAC is going Yardi. So all these different systems will be able to talk to one another as we try to service the needs of the different residents that we have in common.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Carlos.
Your time, Mary.
Brother Jackson, ma'am.
It's time, Mary. Yeah. He's still Jackson.
Start my,
You didn't think it would go just like that. We weren't gonna give you a hard
I'm
time.
waiting on y'all's time. I'm gonna start with my meeting, as I talked to you on, I believe I talked to you the next day, September the 19th, at exactly 5:10 PM, a fire started on the third floor, laundry room, Company Towers. I took pictures, I was hoping to have pictures to show you distinct damage in it. I've been trying to get in touch with the manager who's often in and out on training, and Ms. Mays, to find out more information about like how the fire started, what's the extent of damage, what's the value on it. That was in November 19th on Saturday. And on December the 2nd, at 2:16 in the morning, a fire was in a unit on the 6th floor. The unit was occupied by a resident who was hospitalized at the time. His wife was in the apartment, which she has her own apartment. Now, the thing was, I guess she was watching his apartment while he was gone, which I don't know why. The fire started with her. And so far, I've heard Ms. Hawthorne, they said it was caused smoking. Now, the thing with the smoking is, it had to be something stronger than a cigarette, because the whole unit is demolished.
Oh, wow.
I mean, completely demolished. And, I mean, what was so crazy about it was, I heard the alarm, the first alarm went off, and it went off down below us. And so then I was like, I heard the faint sound, and I was like, that's the alarm. So the secondary alarm came on, and I'm thinking, okay, somebody burned a hot dog or something like that. So I look out there. I went up to my mom's to check on her, and I looked out the patio, out the balcony, and I looked to my right, and there's black smoke coming out of both sides of the apartment, both balcony doors. And the lady that was in there, his wife, she sustained injuries to her head, her chest, her face, her hands. And my understanding, she's still in the hospital now. She just had surgery about a week ago. And the husband came back out the hospital the next day, which was Saturday night. No, Friday night. And he came to me and he was telling me that now they're gonna, terminate their lease because of the smoking. She's getting terminated, but he's getting terminated as well. And that's the part I don't understand.
But wait a minute, I thought he was in the hospital.
He was in the hospital, that's the
That
part I
ain't-
don't
that
understand.
ain't his fault.
So I have not been able to contact Ms. Hawthorne or Ms. Mays to find out,
Call Kelly Brophy.
yeah, why is he being, and so he told me, he
I
said he wanted to file
understand
a
you said the fact that
agreement.
he's responsible for the behavior of his guest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
she-
what I was thinking too,
yeah,
because
and
you
she
are
was
responsible.
Yeah, but he
Yes.
wasn't there though.
But he wasn't.
yeah, still, it's his
It's-
apartment.
He's in
His
the
apartment,
hospital.
and
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
hear you, Lo, but you are responsible
Responsible for
for
your
the
guests.
behavior of your guest. Now,
so,
whether they.
So like if somebody comes to your
apartment.
apartment and leave and go to somebody else's apartment, and they came to see you, and they caused
And
damage
they
to
stole
that apartment.
something, or you
Yeah.
are responsible.
So
It's the way the lease
So-
reads.
it's smoke damage, it's just smoke damage to.
No, I'm
Is that
talking
right?
about demolished.
Destroy.
I wish I could've got down to actually look into the apartment, but you couldn't see the apartment. You can see the apartment from the floor, no, from the, ground. And, I mean,
What about the apartments around it?
none of them were touched. Now, the one thing about that apartment was, it was 607, and which of those apartments are, everything is in a straight row, like, you know, from the top to the bottom. I'm in 1007, and when I left to go down to check on my mom, it was no smoke at all. I came back to my apartment was, smoke was thick.
Yeah.
So I grabbed my dog and grabbed my mom, went downstairs, and everybody who was in that row suffered smoke
Smoke, is that-
all the way up.
Have they been in to do remediation to get y'all back to where you need to be?
That's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to locate them. And one thing that seems peculiar to me is
They'll be here tomorrow.
you own,
They'll be here tomorrow.
you own a Gorman.
Okay,
You
yeah,
own a construction company.
They'll be here tomorrow.
right.
You own a construction company and,
You talking about the person that
no, I'm
there
talking
on the
about,
ground?
I'm talking about the company. Yeah, you own a construction company, but I have seen
Nobody.
about 10 different construction companies coming in giving you a,
Estimate
Yes.
on what? What was that?
on the
Damage.
washroom and the unit. And I'm like, some don't play out right.
They don't
And
have,
they taking their time because like I said, the washroom caught on fire on the 19th of November. It's still sealed.
well, we have
No,
a
early.
conversation about that
Mhm.
during the Monday connection call. And she explained to us that it was lint in the dryer.
Yeah, lint bars.
Lint
Okay.
fire that called. And that and Miss Mays was on that call and they explained what happened, but the way they talked, it was already under remediation. I am concerned about all those apartments in their line and what type of,
Damage.
did they not bring fans out?
Everybody said that it was just minor smoke.
But people die from smoke.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah, I
And that's
know
why
they
I'm
do.
asking.
If it's
But it
that
was
black,
like,
if it's that black thick smoke, it stains stuff. and
Yeah,
rise.
it wasn't like as it went up,
Right.
it wasn't a thick smoke. Like mine was just like, you could see it, like I had my TV on and the lights was out, but you could see you could see the smoke in it. But when I came back up after the fire was off,
It was gone.
and you could smell it real strong in the hallways, but when I walked in my apartment, I couldn't even smell it.
I'm still concerned about
Mhm.
the
It
inhaling
is.
of smoke.
Yeah,
In
and
that
see,
building,
like,
and there was no
sixth
fans
floor
to
down,
let out.
sixth floor down, there were people, actually, they could not get out their apartment because the smoke was so thick. As you went down, further down, the smoke was so thick that they couldn't get in the hallway. Some of them started down the hallway and turned around and went back to the apartment, you know? So,
That's a concern.
I mean, it's like, I mean, the fire alarm sound, but it seemed like it's something you can update or something, you know, for a fire like that. Cause I mean, the first alarm goes off.
That's
The
good.
warning, you think the warning could have been
That's
better?
good.
Is that right? Yeah.
And there are no
That's
fire
fine.
marshals, I mean, resident fire marshals or no staff there to make sure that everybody is.
Oh, they can call the fire marshal, he'll come in and do a plan of action
But
for
I'm
you, but
saying,
Gorman
there was
ain't trying to
nobody
do that
there
though.
at that time.
And
Make
that's,
sure that everybody
that's
was
to me,
okay.
Gorman, is- I don't
No
know what
smoke
to say about
detectors?
Gorman.
You don't-
I mean, this smoke detectors, you also have, and
What?
in my understanding, they explain the smoke detector situation in the units.
Yeah.
You have two that appear to be smoke detectors. Now, the smoke detector, believe it or not, is in your bedroom. The carbon monoxide detector is in the living room. So, it's like, if you got a fire in your kitchen, and you say you sleep with your door closed, you imagine how long it would take for that smoke to get in, to let you know there's a fire, and your living room is like demolished by the time you get out, open that door.
Well, like I say, they can talk with the fire marshal, they can call them, they come out and they'll sit down and have a plan of action for them, but I don't think Gorman's trying to do that.
Are there individual fire extinguishers in every unit?
Every room.
Okay.
Matter of fact, they just got serviced, last month, cause I returned my mom's and mine, the
So
other day.
how did the lady get burned? I mean,
That's what I'm saying, she had to be smoking something powerful than a cigarette.
knocked out or something? Cause the alarm would've went off in the room.
Well,
Right.
apparently the alarm went off in the room,
And
and
she
she
did
had
that
a
in-
dog at the time, and I don't know how she made it,
That's-
as thick as that smoke was coming out of the unit. I don't know how she made it to the door to open it. When she opened it, the dog left her there, and he was gone. And so, like, you know, when she came down, I didn't know she got burnt until he told me.
Is there?
Because she was in a wheelchair, and she was riding around downstairs. When we got down, we came down the steps. And when we came down the steps, she had passed me, and I didn't see
Well,
anybody.
that's another issue, those people who are incapable of walking down the stairs,
Exactly.
elevator, how they gonna get them folks down?
Mhm. And see, I remember when I first moved there, they had what they call like, I guess they were like portable, like people who were in wheelchairs. And the wheelchairs, I mean, they would fold out.
Yeah.
They took those away.
Is there?
Everything, the safety that they had in that building when I first moved there, it's gone. And that's why you finding people who have been in the apartment dead for a week, 4 days. Because they took the little cords out,
Oh.
and it's like, you know, they trying to get this persona like they're a hotel. Like I told them one time in a meeting, I said, this is not a hotel, this is all people new.
Yeah.
Some of the people been up there 10, 15 years. And then for you to come in and disrupt it like that, and that's why you get more people found dead than you did when I was there before. Now, a manager that used to be there, Miss Lee, the system she had, which was pretty good, the people who were in wheelchairs, she didn't move them up in the higher
Yeah,
floors.
that's what
She moved them down in the lower
So
floors.
that was the recommendation of the board.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
When we.
And see, they not trying to do that. They trying to get money.
Yeah, but
You see what I'm saying?
anywhere they can.
Any way they can.
Our
So-
chairman has a 1 o'clock, and we had offered up an executive session.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, that's my main two things that I had to bring to the board. Other than that, everything else is running pretty smooth. I mean, the programs, the bingo games, the stuff like that, still carrying on, so.
This was all that come, the fire.
That's all they're coming.
So it was 2 fires.
2 fires in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, a matter of weeks.
There.
You know, because one was on November 19th, and the other one was on the
One-
2nd of December.
One was the,
The washroom was on the 19th of November. And I think that one made the news.
All righty. Brother Listen.
I don't have anything, I'm gonna, I mean, you know, a big concern to mine, I think now is at the 19th and budget, audit review and getting that done and doing whatever we need to do to bring that to a head. And I guess I just need some suggestions about what else we gotta do and what's the time frame of getting it done.
Well, most of us have the twofold because we got to do the same thing for CAC by December 31st.
Yeah. So our plan of action is,
Working a checklist.
um,
Of course, hopefully he will be satisfied with whatever we're able to produce and get our hands, turned in. So the minutes, the
minutes
DEC
is
report
the-
outcome from the field office, I've been keeping them up to date. You know, of course, the legal reports, that's easy, I do that anyway. But what we have.
Or there needs to be an explanation as to why we didn't give him what he requested. You know, not just sending an incomplete package and not saying anything. We need to give him an explanation of why something is not part of the package that he requested.
Talking about the minutes.
Oh, I would tell him, you know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. I would, if we're missing something or unable to find something, I'll just tell him. For whatever reason, and if the field office doesn't have the final outcome yet for the deck report, I'll share that, I'll try to provide as much as I can. So I'm giving him as much as I can to move it forward, including having to make the phone call in the first place to get the list. So, yeah.
Alright,
That's my concern.
alright. Moving to old business, don't have anybody here from Gorman,
What did you say?
don't have anybody from the design group. Alright, 2023 budget.
What kind of buffer did we finally come up with once some of the adjustments were made?
I hadn't seen one.
Well, yeah, it's, 75, total, talking
Yeah,
overall,
when we added that cap fund, it changed it to a
95
CCC to 95,000,
for FY 23.
2023.
Okay, in 22, the cash flow from operations, is that what, an operating expenditure?
And that's the only thing that changed for CLCC. We added the cap fund. Revenue.
And on this minus 89,
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's, how much we talking for cap fund?
75.
Administrative. And where is
Yeah,
that
but
at?
we ain't got that many housing units to do cap funds with.
Where is that at?
But it was allocated to that administrative line. So that's up to 75.
Okay.
So I just went ahead and put the max in there.
Talking about,
But we are allowed to, I know we'll use some of that, so it'll still be a positive.
that's still slim.
Yeah, I mean, it's slim, but that's the only other revenue that,
Did you remove the revenue that pertained to remodeling or renovation?
Yeah, that's $75,000 down there for,
HCV.
yeah,
that 20, no, the 25.
yeah, 25,000.
Where you reduced it then, didn't you?
There's another thing that's been voted.
No, I can take this completely out.
I mean, what,
I mean, I was gonna leave it and just allocate it as things come up, but
okay.
if you want me to just completely take it out.
I mean, when we talk about things come up, are we talking agency-wide? Are we only talking HCV?
Agency-wide. Right.
Yeah, it's pertaining to this building, yes. Like you got the floors redone.
And then you would redistribute that cost across.
To COCC. It's needed.
So by allocating it, and if little to none of it is used, it's just sitting there.
It's just gonna sit there, yeah.
Hey, what's your pleasure?
When in the exec? We can go to exec, what we doing?
Yeah, we do need to go to executive session.
Yeah.
So on that, the way to executive session,
I
I
didn't
will
hear you.
for AC.
I said, I'm gonna move for executive session to discuss personnel matters before the, vote on the budget.
Budget.
Are we gonna vote on this budget?
Before that, the budget continues, discussion continues.
Okay. We're gonna table this for a minute.
Okay. We have a second, going into executive session.
We move to proper second that we go into executive session to discuss personnel matters.
Recording stopped.
All in favor?